Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to another exciting episode of the Chet-Plex Wrestling Podcast here on Spartan Stream. I'm Chris Seacrest alongside Andrew Mild. And Andrew, we've got a pretty fun podcast here. We're gonna get right in to the Wednesday Night War. Started on Wednesday the 2nd. WWE, NXT, and All Elite Wrestling Dynamite. What are your takes here going right into it?
I mean, NXT came out guns blazing. They're like, all right, well, first things first, Finn Balor, he's coming back.
Yeah.
That's the first move. You texted me that last night, and I was like, what? Am I reading this right? And I saw it pop up on social media a couple of times, and I'm pretty shocked. But I know you predicted it. You said that you wouldn't be shocked if NXT alumni that became popular when they reached the WWE start getting sent down. Ciampa came back, too, last night, right?
Yep.
He came out I think he was the last segment, came back and confronted Adam Cole, the NXT champion. And then AEW, they came out also guns blazing. Jon Moxley, Kenny Omega rivalry revitalized. I was watching the highlights, and my friend was sitting next to me, and he goes, "Is that JR broadcasting that?" And I said, "Yeah." He goes, "That's awesome. I love JR."
Yeah.
So not only that they have great wrestlers, but I think we all connect JR to our childhood because he was there for a long time.
Yeah.
And then you had Chris Jericho taking selfies and attacked Cody Rhodes. But other than that, it's going to be interesting in these next couple of weeks. Both shows are going to be competing heavily, and it's going to be throat for throat. It's going to be a close race.
Yes, starting out, head-to-head, Adam Cole versus Matt Riddle went straight up against Cody Rhodes and Sammy Guevara. Cody and Adam literally won at the exact same time. I had it in picture-in-picture, and literally the pins for each match was literally within, I'd say, at least 15 seconds of each other. It was just timed out perfectly there, but great start on both ends, really. Then Finn Balor shows up on NXT, like you said, while Adam Cole celebrating says he's on NXT now. So, mind explodes on all the infinite possibilities going to go on there. Then Jericho shows up on Dynamite while Cody's celebrating and attacks Cody. So literally, both start out with almost the exact same results. You have them win at the same time, you have someone show up, and you have someone on one end, you have someone say, "I'm here." On the other end, you have someone attack somebody. It's like it was set up the exact same. Awesome start.
Yeah, both have an awesome start, and it's kind of just a formula to wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, it was not only that it's gonna be a race between these two, but if you're a wrestling fan, you're gonna have a hard time leaving the house at nighttime.
Yeah.
Every Monday Night Raws, you have the obviously the Wednesday Night Wars now. You have I believe TNAs are on Tuesdays.
Yep. And
then Friday and SmackDown's moving back to Friday on Fox, and then obviously the occasional NXT takeovers on Saturdays and Sundays.
Next up, you had Io Shirai versus Mia Yim going up against MJF versus Brandon Cutler. MJF won that one easily with the submission. Then later, you had SCU and Lucha Brothers starting arguing on the stage. At this point, Shirai and Yim has already gone through 2 commercial breaks. Shirai then finally gets the win, and we also find out that the Outsiders, Kevin Nash and Scott Hall, are at NXT, so that was exciting. Then you had Johnny Gargano versus Shane Thorne going up against Adam Hangman Page and Pac. Gargano wins it on NXT, Pac wins it on AEW. Both, I'd say pretty good head-to-head matchup there.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, definitely great. Some great matches between the two shows. They did not hold any expense of, especially when they're competing against each other and trying to keep the fans entertained.
Next up, smart move on AEW's part, putting the Women's Championship match up against NXT's Women's Championship match. They had Shayna Baszler versus Candice LeRae going up against Nyla Rose and Rio. NXT, that one started during the Page Pac match. Candice ends up tapping to Baszler's clutch submission. Shayna able to retain. Disappointing result for me, but it was still a really good match. Then on the other end, you had Rose and Rio getting chairs involved. And so while that's going on, Pete Dunne and Danny Burch have a match. Rio ends up winning with the double knee. Rose attacks her at the end of the match, with then Kenny Omega coming out and helping Rio there. Then moves on, you had Undisputed Era versus Street Profits going against Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks versus Chris Jericho, Santana, and Ortiz. Dunne defeats Burch as the Young Bucks and Kenny are coming out. Then Damian Priest comes out and attacks Pete Dunne on NXT. And then Jon Moxley shows up over on Dynamite, starts attacking Kenny Omega, spilling out in the arena. And Jon Moxley hits a Death Rider on Omega through a glass table in the VIP lounge. Awesome.
It's a great way to end the show, basically, right? I'm pretty.
Yeah.
So that's one way of doing it, is have the two of the most popular AEW wrestlers in Omega and Moxley go through a glass table.
Yeah, so Jericho, Santana, and Ortiz end up winning it over on Dynamite. They're still starting to attack Cody, or they're still attacking the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega, and then Cody comes out and attacks Jericho. Guevara comes out and kicks Cody right in the groin. Dustin then comes out and attacks Guevara, and then Jack frickin' Hager comes out and attacks Cody, the Young Bucks, and Dustin. We get We the People chants going on. Hager puts Dustin through the ring bell table. Jericho hits Judas Effect on Cody. AEW ends it early as NXT goes on for an extra 15 minutes. But, I mean, I tell you what, AEW just ended on a high note.
It was shocking for me to see Jack Hager on AEW because I thought he was doing MMA stuff.
Yeah.
And I heard he was like 3-0 with 3 knockouts. He was doing really good. He's like, I'm going to give up. I'm going to go do AEW and go against the WWE because he had a lot of talent coming in. And this is his revenge.
Yeah.
And he's still talented, as you saw last night. He's still athletic. He's a great addition.
Yeah, and I mean, NXT goes on for an extra 15 minutes. They got a special time slot there to go longer. So the main event of that one doesn't really pick up until after Dynamite goes off the air. Roderick Strong ends up coming out helping Undisputed Era with O'Reilly getting the pin. And then Tommaso Ciampa comes out, returning from injury, and confronts Adam Cole. Again, you look head-to-head. You start out with a great match. You have, Jericho, a legend, on Dynamite. You had Finn Balor, an NXT legend, on NXT, coming out, doing their thing. Then you end the show, both shows, with 2 returns. Like, it's just scripted perfectly.
It's how's the saying go? History doesn't repeat itself, but they can take different forms of it. And that's exactly what happened last night. Is that they're both different shows, but they had different forms of their own similarities.
Yeah, so for me, I mean, the biggest takeaways, first of all, the AEW Women's Championship is super small.
I haven't seen it.
I mean, it is, I'd say it's probably the size of my hand is the middle.
You spent all the money on the
bubbly. I guess, yeah. I mean, just silly, but that was just one thing that stood out to me. But Dynamite definitely wins the award for the best set. Because Dynamite has, like, the double tunnel thing coming out. One comes out one tunnel, one comes out the other. So awesome. I mean...
I'm pretty sure I heard that WWE is also trying to get new...
Yeah, well, the Raw... Did you see the Raw set?
Not yet.
I mean, it's pretty much just all LEDs, and then they've got, like, a door. Okay. It's insane.
Yeah, it is insane.
Surprises, AEW, they get Jack Hager's debut. NXT, you got Finn Balor and Ciampa, and both of them going after Adam Cole. So that'll be interesting to see how the NXT title plays out there.
Triple threat match?
Hey, I'm all for it.
I'd so be in for those 3 to battle it out for the NXT
Survivor Series coming up with TakeOver, so never know.
I would do it then.
Biggest question for me is on the NXT side. The question is NXT going to stay at Full Sail? Because AEW is selling out, 6,000, 10,000 seat arenas, and NXT is in a college auditorium, basically. You could definitely tell there was a major difference in the crowd.
Well, it's not fair to compare the two because NXT is more
Right.
minor league developmental, while AEW is a full-fledged show. Like all their money is going into these shows. Like their Dynamite show is Monday Night Raw and Friday Night SmackDown for the WWE, and WWE is gonna put money in those shows and not be too worried about the minor leagues. Like if you look
But see, here's my thing with that though. It's like they're going head to head with AEW. There's a reason they chose NXT to go up head to head. And NXT, I mean, I don't even consider it developmental, honestly. I consider it now a third brand. And they've got to put money into. I mean, they're putting in resources into it. They wouldn't send Finn Balor down if they didn't put resources into it.
I think if the viewership goes as well as they think it's going to be, then I wouldn't be shocked if they started to do what Raw and SmackDown do and go to different arenas across America and wrestle in those, or even in different countries. But I think it's going to be a process. I don't think it's going to happen right away, but I think NXT is going to get the money and viewership that they want and start doing that.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be too worried right away. It's only their second show on USA, their third show already. So I think just give it some time and they'll be able to catch up to AEW.
Yeah, and I mean, I'd say, if NXT starts slipping against AEW, Full Sail's probably gonna get taken out of that deal. Probably.
We'll have to see when the time comes, because right now both of them are, it's tight. Like it's neck and neck right now. It's not even close to see who is ahead after the first night of the war, or we call it the first battle of the Wednesday Night Wars. No winner for me. It would be a draw between these two.
For me, I think Dynamite gets it.
You think Dynamite picks up the win?
Just for me, mostly because it stood out because of the size of the crowd.
Okay.
And because it was fresh. I mean, NXT to me felt like a really good NXT show.
Right.
But AEW is fresh. And AEW had some major WCW vibes. I mean, just for me, being on TNT helped a little bit with that. But I mean, you had Kevin Smith sitting there at the ringside, bringing celebrities in already.
Well, I think AEW is kind of like a new stick of gum. You put it in there, you start chewing on it. It tastes good at first, but is it gonna get stale and you're gonna spit it out? Or is the flavor going to stay? You're going to keep, like, okay, this is a pretty good piece of gum. I can stick with this for a good couple of, say like an hour or two. We'll have to see, though. Because that's what happened with WCW. Like you said, WCW started off great, and then they fell apart. That's why they're not a show anymore.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely going to be interesting. I think if AEW can keep up with what they did last night, they're going to be fine.
I agree. And I think that, in my honest opinion, I want AEW to last as long as they can. I don't want them to go away. I want as much wrestling as there can be. Like for a while there, WWE was the only one. The only other show that you could watch was Lucha Underground, in which they actually have seasons. Like they actually stop at a certain point.
Yeah.
For AEW can be an all-year thing, and they can make it a brand, and you can get more wrestlers' names out there. Because for a while there, WWE didn't know what to do with all the names that they had.
Right.
Like look at Robert Roode or Bobby, whatever you want to call him. He was just sitting there for a bit. Like, they didn't know what to do with him. AEW's not going to have, I don't think, that much of an issue with it, with all the talent they're going to bring in. And then most of the shows ran by guys that currently wrestle. Like, Cody Rhodes wrestles in the show.
Right.
So he knows what to do and what he wants to do and how the storyline is going to go.
Yeah. I mean, again, Dynamite, they dominated the last 20 minutes of their show. And NXT was smart, I think, and just kind of slowly building their main event to then when AEW went off the air, that's when everything got kicked going. Because everyone's going to be switching from Dynamite back to NXT to see what's going on there. And that's when things pick up on NXT.
As soon as AEW ended, they picked up the remote, hit that last button, and then switched right back to USA with WWE NXT. And like you said, they were smart. They waited, and that's when it happened. They hit the 20 minutes as hard as they could. They started running with it, and they did a pretty good job.
Yeah. And, I mean, ending shot for Dynamite, Jack Hager. Ending shot for NXT, Ciampa Cole. Crazy.
Here we go, man. The war has begun.
Yeah, the war has begun. Andrew, I'll get your final thoughts on the beginning of Wednesday Night War.
it's gonna be interesting. Like we said, NXT is gonna be watching backstage as close as they can, studying their opponents. Like you know how like NFL coaches will go and watch their upcoming opponents on film. NXT is gonna be doing the same thing, and that's why last night the last 20 minutes were full-fledged. Like, okay, let's go, hit it, put it up to 10. They're gonna be doing that over and over and over again for these next couple of weeks, and that's gonna be their bread and butter. But this war, man, it's gonna have some casualties. Some fans are gonna be forced to pick a side to see where they stand.
Yeah, I'm excited. It's a good time to be a wrestling fan.
Oh, it is for sure. It is. This is the new golden era of wrestling.
And like for you and me, I mean, we never really got to experience the Attitude Era.
No, we just missed it. We just missed it.
This is what it's gonna be like.
We had
this could be our Attitude.
We had the ruthless aggression era.
Yeah.
But like I want a new Attitude Era. I want something like that. So like when my kids like watch wrestling, like what was this? I was like, this was awesome.
Yeah.
Just watch.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. Well, I think that's gonna do it for us here on this episode of the Chet-Plex Wrestling Podcast. Don't forget you can find us on, well, obviously Spartan Stream. You can find us on YouTube, and for audio versions, you can find us on iTunes, Podbean, Spotify, Stitcher, and I think that's all of them. Yep, that's all of them. And so yeah, a lot of places now you can get the Chet-Plex Wrestling Podcast and all the other podcasts we produce here on Spartan Stream. So I think that's going to do it for us. For Andrew Mild, I'm Chris Seacrest. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Chet-Plex Wrestling Podcast.